More fallout from the Nuggets' loss to the Lakers, because I'm sure you want to hear more about that. But we also turn the page towards the Nuggets' road trip out east. Plus, where do the Nuggets stand in the Western Conference playoff tiers? All that and more on No Jinx on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday. That's what we call being an everydayer, hanging out with us with the 9,119 people who have subscribed to us on YouTube.com/Locked On Nuggets. We are 880 away from hitting our record for 10,000 this season. Join the thousands and thousands of Nuggets fans
and Lakers fans
as we found out in the last episode, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate you guys. If you're listening to us on podcast, give us a 5-star review. I'm Matt Moore, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I've got a site called thedenverdig.com where I've got a big thing up about a question that I got to give Ryan Blackburn a lot of credit for, because he's the one that put it in my head. It's the question of, is Denver good enough? And does it matter if they're good enough? So you can go read that at thedenverdig.com. You can read Ryan's work at milehighsports.com. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. On today's show, we're going to take a look at the Western Conference playoff tiers. We're going to take a look at the road trip coming up for Denver and what we think that goes like, starting with what should be a really fun game versus the Indiana Pacers on Monday. Yeah. But we'll start with some hangover takes from the Lakers and the Nuggets game on Saturday night. A really great game plan, a really marvelous performance. JJ Redick just gushed about his team after that game, and so many Lakers fans came in and joined in the comments and let us know what they thought. So I just, we need to be fair, Ryan. Like, we need to. It's important. We are. This show serves Nuggets fans, but it's important that we go ahead and give credit where credit's due. The Lakers won their Super Bowl. Like, it's not every night during the NBA season that a team throws everything. Their coach doesn't sleep, and their team goes so hard that their coach is verklempt about their effort, and they got it done.
Yeah, they did.
In a regular season game on February 22nd.
Oh my God.
It's really emotional, and I got to give them a lot of credit because they've won now 2 games in the last 15, and that takes a lot. So full credit to I do seriously think the Lakers played a marvelous game, and I raved about them on Twitter. There was so much good stuff that they did offensively, defensively, LeBron, and we talked about those things. They really did play a really great basketball game, and they deserve all the credit in the world.
They 100% do, and like, one thing that really stood out to me was that they hit Denver with the haymakers that the Nuggets usually hit them with.
Yeah.
It certainly felt like every time the Nuggets went on a run to try to get back in the game, the Lakers were like, all right, we're going to put the hand on your forehead, keep your toddler ass like right at arm's reach away from us, and we're going to stay up by double digits. And then they hit Denver with the haymaker and pushed it up above 20. And that was the game. That was the game midway through the fourth quarter. And it never felt like Denver was actually close in this one. It always felt like the Lakers had them in the rounds, right? Over and over and over again. So I give them credit for that. That's what the Nuggets have done to them over and over for the last 3 years. Like, they certainly had all the motivation in the world to get it done. There's a lot of victory lap taking after this one. There's a lot of folks that are saying the it is over. It's over. We've won the playoff series. The playoff series is done. Everything will be satisfied. We've got them now. And like, I don't think that that's how this is going to play out. It might. I'm not going to sit here and outright say that Denver can win a playoff series against the Lakers. I think they can. I think I'd have it Nuggets in 6. But I do think that the Lakers showed that they are not the ugly stepchild that they've been the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe it goes back to the Lakers beat them all the time. That's what history's kind of said about it. Maybe it's possible.
Sure. And we knew that, by the way. When we reacted to the Luka Doncic trade, We knew that. We knew that this was a problem. Like we gave them their flowers at that point and said,
well,
they were dead. They were dead in the water, and then they traded for Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
And that just opens
I mean,
the
look,
door.
They're going to win at least 3 of the next 7 championships. They just are. I know, but I know how you feel about it. But like, I'm totally okay with that. That's the history of the league. And every now and again, the Lakers winning makes everybody that is a casual in the sport really happy. Like, that's what casual fans want, is the Lakers winning, which is why they have so many fans in our comments. It's nice. It must be nice to be a casual fan that doesn't actually have to pay attention to anything. So I'll also say, I'm just kidding. Please don't take this personally. You mentioned them like having the runs every time. It's absolutely right. So the Nuggets open up with an 8-0 run in the third quarter, and the Lakers immediately respond with an 11-0 or an 11 plus 11 run, 14-3. The Nuggets have a 9-3 run in the middle of the third quarter. The Lakers turn around and they have their own run. Like, they just answered every single run. And I do think it was pretty disheartening for Denver, because it was like they would make a run with good offense, and then immediately on the other end, the Lakers were just like, we'll just get another corner 3 or a layup.
We'll just cut for a dunk. We'll turn you guys over and then hit a transition dunk or a transition 3. It was all of that. It was 100% that. It's unfortunate.
And so I talked about this a little bit at the end of the article that I posted on the newsletter over at the Denver Dig. Okay, here's the thing. I went back and watched today. And what I will say offensively, if you hide stuff in a regular season matchup, it doesn't mean it's going to work in the playoffs.
Right.
So just like, it doesn't get you anything in terms of, it's not guaranteed. What I will say is, if you watch it, Michael Porter Jr. in particular, you're like, wait, why is it? On first glance, it's like, wow, the Lakers did such a great job staying home. And on second glance, you're like, why didn't the Nuggets put them in any sort of positions to force them to help? When you go back, like, you're just like, why did they do this? Maybe it was just bad execution. Maybe it was a bad game plan. Maybe they're just not used to running the sets that they've run for literally 5 years the same way. Maybe that's it. But I will tell you that I walked away from that game being like, it was very weird how they responded. And it's not just that they didn't adjust. It was that they actively under-adjusted. Now, they also turn the ball over all the time, and the Lakers did such a phenomenal job of playing the passing lanes. Joker makes like an over-the-shoulder hook shot pass to AG in the dunker spot, but he's off the mark. AG's a step behind him, and it's out of bounds, and they're both frustrated by it. And partly because Rui's playing physical defense behind him and gets him off of his spot. Like, there's all these little things that the Lakers did in order to really disrupt what they do. But there's also certain spacing things that don't make any sense. Why did they run? But why did 2 guys run to the same side on this sequence instead of clearing out and giving Joker an easy weak side rotation? Why didn't they run pick and roll to counter what the Lakers were doing defensively?
Why didn't they set any flare screens at all? Why did they set any seal screens on the weak side? There was none of that.
And if you're one of the people in the comments, Daniel Miller has been the guy who's been here every time. It's probably because Malone's a moron and he doesn't even know to run these things. But if you're like a more thoughtful Nuggets fan, you're probably like, I wish he would have done that. But also, and it's like, yeah, again, it doesn't mean that they're going to win that next matchup. They can lose to the Lakers in the playoffs. Absolutely. Luka Doncic can average a 40-point triple-double. This defense is bad. It is bad. It's going to be bad. That's it. Ryan's going to owe me a dinner because of it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yes,
He bet me they would have a top 12 defense after All-Star, top 13 defense after All-Star break.
I've made a lot of dumb bets. Believe me, my FanDuel account is exhausted at this point. But like,
how do you feel about getting out of the eyebrow shave? Because you did this. You put this curse on the Nuggets with that.
Well, look, I have so much power that I'm going to bet against the Nuggets in every playoff series, every single one. I'm going to lose so much money. I'm going to lose so much faith in the entire Nuggets fan base. And then they're going to be like, hey, wait, did he mean to do that? And the answer is probably not, but I happened anyway.
I felt this on Reddit a lot, and I want to comment on it. Philly Urbanite says Malone's adjustment was Russ, you should shoot more.
No.
I gotta like just to take one thing. because like there was literally a thread on Reddit of why did Malone have Russ shoot so much?
What do you think he's like? What do you guys think Malone's actually doing here? He's like, you know what? Russ, you're historically like struggling 3-point shooter, somebody who like has made improvements and has made strides. You know what we're going to do? We're going to use your skill set to the maximum. We're going to have you spot up. We're going to have you take off the dribble jumpers. That's our game plan. That's of course not the game plan, man.
Not only that, but it makes it sound like he's on the sideline with a joystick. Jump, Russ.
He's spamming the shot.
Spamming the shoot button. Like,
yeah.
No, man. Like, no. Like, Russ, these players are authorized to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Russ more than most. Julian Strawther has to watch his shot selection.
Yes.
Which
is hilarious because it should be flipped, but it's not.
Yes. And so, yeah, look, and if you're like, well, if Russ is shooting that much, Malone's got to correct it. Except I think a lot of it is just the way that the flow of the game went down. You needed somebody to be aggressive, because if you don't get aggressive versus the coverage, if somebody else doesn't make a play, they just keep playing the same way and you're up against the shot clock every single time. Right. And so you do need somebody to be aggressive.
Yeah.
It just should have been Russ with particularly not even the spotted ones, because he hit some of those in the third.
Yeah.
It's the pull-ups that those are always going to be bad.
And frankly, the one who needed to be aggressive there was Michael Porter Jr. And he was off his rhythm from the get-go. He just, for whatever reason, did not have it in this game. I noted it very early. The mistakes he was making on both ends of the floor, he just was not fully engaged and ready for what they needed him to do. And look, that's okay. It's a regular season game. I believe that Michael Porter Jr. will be ready for the playoffs, but like, he has struggled in more physical matchups, and this Lakers matchup just became a lot more physical than it was before. So I'm curious to see how he responds.
All right, up next, we'll go through the Western Conference playoff tiers. Is Denver in the Lakers tier? Are they below them? They just lost after all. We'll talk about that and more on the other side here on Locked On Nuggets. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Here's the ways that you can take advantage of that deal. You can get a game day feast. How about after an epic 50-point performance, you can order wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot. If you got those late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, you can use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. If you're fueling your watch party, plan to catch the next game, order your go-to snacks and meals at a discount and get ready for more high-scoring action. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get $50 off an order the next day, up to $10 off. That's from noon to midnight the day after the game. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets.
We did not have the DoorDash overlay uploaded onto the thing, so I made sure to go get it. Guys, make sure to go check out DoorDash here.
Look at you. Look at you. Hurricane wants to know what my favorite burger is.
Ooh, good question.
Winstead's in Kansas City is a steak burger I really like, but I got to be real with you. Cherry Cricket is really good. I think those burgers are really, really, really good. Like the one down actually in Cherry Creek, like with the egg and some bacon and some jalapenos. Yeah. But yeah.
Love good jalapenos on a burger. I love jalapenos and blue cheese, that kind of mix. If I'm going to a place for something relatively cheap, the Shake Shack Smoke Shack burger is the one with their cherry peppers. That one's really, really good.
Hurricane says I seem like a Carl Jr. kind of guy, and I've never been so offended.
Yeah, is that an insult? That seems
the only way it could be worse is if you call me an In-N-Out guy, because I hate that place with a burning passion.
Hey, good double animal style, man.
Yeah, well, go see what's at the bottom. All All right. Let's talk about some Western Conference playoff tiers. Okay. There's OKC.
Yeah, tier 1, we can start and end tier 1. And then there might be a gap between tier 1 and tier 2. And then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's the rest of the Western Conference.
It's not crap. It's just like there's just like a void. It's just like a void.
Okay. We're saying
no, I think it matters because it's like the Western Conference. I've been arguing about this. Is we do have a tendency to be like, if you're not great, you're mid. And I'm like, no. The Western Conference is still really good. There's more good teams in the Western Conference than there are in the Eastern Conference. But there are fewer great teams, and there are fewer, like, they're all like very vulnerable. They're all like really good, vulnerable teams.
Yeah.
Who's in tier 2 for you? I'm curious about this.
Yeah. So tier 2 updates pretty consistently, I'll say. Like that's one where before this kind of recent stretch, I was giving Houston the benefit of the doubt. I think they've dropped out of tier 2 for me. They were a team that was like playing really well, but then they got hurt. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. They're just not like functioning well. And we've talked about them before. They kind of feel like a paper tiger in some ways. They may just not be ready with the young cast that they have. So I think they're in tier 3. Tier 2 to me is Denver, Memphis, the Lakers, and man, like, I think that's it. I think that's it for me, despite the fact that you could make an argument for a couple of other teams. But I think that is it. I think it's Denver, Memphis, LA Lakers.
God, this is tough.
Yeah.
Denver's defense makes me not want to put them in that tier. Memphis's offense makes me not want to put them in that tier.
How? Aren't they a good offense?
So they're a good offense. The half court is better, but it's not good. They're not a top 10 half court offense. And so much of it is in the playoffs when you do get into a situation where big bucket, got to get a possession here. There are teams that have broken that have just been able to play fast and play with tempo. And Memphis is really good at all those things. But the turnover problem is so egregious.
Yeah, it is.
It's just very hard when you're giving the opponent that many opportunities. It's just very, like, the Nuggets found that out versus the Lakers on Saturday night. You just can't do it. So when Memphis is that sloppy, I have a hard time putting them as a tier 2 team. But in the West, that's like, who else am I putting there? So I don't want to put the reason I don't want to put the Lakers there right now is because it's very short-sighted and it's very recency bias. And if you're like, they're 8-2 in their last 10, they're playing great basketball right now. No question. The problem is that the Rockets were doing that and everybody was like, oh, the Rockets are the team. Look at them. And then they hit their peak and they went back down. The Grizzlies, oh, hey, the Grizzlies went by the Rockets. They're the team. And now they've lost a bunch of games because they had to go on a road trip. The Lakers are riding high right now. Okay, what happens if they go back down again? Right? What does this look like? And with Denver wins 9 in a row. They get absolutely smacked by the Lakers on Saturday night. And now we're back to the defense isn't good enough. Is there a tier 2 team?
It's like you could make an argument against any of them. And I honestly think that's a fair argument. It's Denver's extremely vulnerable. They're more vulnerable than I think the average tier 2 team in a given year. But I also think you could say the same about a lot of these other teams. I think you have to trust the talent in these cases with Luka and LeBron. And I think what we've seen, a pretty good defensive scheme and a defensive schemer in JJ Redick, who has better defensive personnel than I think we really expected. I think that I'm comfortable putting them in that tier because I trust those guys. And like Luka just led a team that went to the NBA Finals last year that you agree didn't really have much business being there.
Yeah, but it wasn't because of him. It was Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Like, he wasn't great for the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm willing to put the Lakers there for now as hey, you just beat the Nuggets in impressive fashion on Saturday night. We'll put them there. I will probably like, I'm just going to be annoyed if in like 2 weeks it's like, oh yeah, that's right, you're starting Jackson Hayes at center. Right. But we'll see what happens. Tier 3, I'll put Memphis and Denver in that conversation. What's tier 4 for you?
Wait, so you're leaving tier 2 blank?
I'm putting the Lakers as on their own in tier 2.
So they are the second strongest Western Conference playoff team to you.
They have LeBron James and Luka Doncic, and they have shooters, and they've got a really good coach. So for right now, I'll put them there.
Is that to me, like the fact that you can't even put Denver in that tier, I think is a pretty large black mark against what the Nuggets have done, like through the first 57 games.
Yeah, except it's like, I said this in the thing too, is like they are 37, like they're 17 games over 500, Ryan, with a top 5 net rating.
Sure.
And everyone's gonna say like, yeah, because they beat the bad teams. That's how you get. That's how you get through the regular season.
You know who the team that they remind me of? The mid 2010s Atlanta Hawks.
They remind me more. I think they have more in common with the Spurs. I don't think that you mean the 2015 Hawks team?
Oh no, I mean the worst ones. I mean the ones that lost in the second round every single year.
Oh, those teams were really fun though. I like those teams.
Sure, and so is Denver. Denver's a fun team, man. They've got Jokic. But like that's the thing is like Denver is kind of.
Atlanta didn't have any, but like that's the whole thing. As much as I think talent can be a little bit overrated,
I'm more thinking in terms of what Denver's actual like. They are not beating these great teams. They are not beating these good teams on a consistent basis. And when I see that, I see a team that is very likely to falter when they face a second round team.
Okay, I'm gonna call bullshit here. Sorry for the curse. If we look at the league and we look at the question of how do these teams do versus teams over 500, because like Vote asked this question because to him it really sticks out like it does to you.
Yeah.
The Thunder are 21-9 versus teams over 500. We agree they're better. Like we don't need to belabor that point.
Sure.
They're not on the Thunder's tier. Memphis is 13-17.
Oh, they're not great either. Like they're in Denver's tier to me.
Okay. The Rockets are 20-15. I don't know if we really believe that. The Clippers are 12-18, and that's with some wins over Denver. The Wolves are 16-20. Let's go to the Eastern Conference. The Knicks are 11-14.
Yeah.
So
are these teams just beating up on each other, and then Cleveland, OKC, and Boston are just cleaning house?
Yes.
Against every team? Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Cleveland, Boston, and OKC, and then everybody else has these problems. Now the Lakers are 20-15 versus these teams over 500. That's a really good mark for them. They've gotten some advantageous spots. I just think that you have to kind of look at you can't overemphasize beating up on bad teams, but you can't de-emphasize it either. You can't throw it out either. Like you have to look at the whole resume, and the whole resume does say that Denver is not an Atlanta Hawks fun team.
Yeah. No, look, that to me is more representative of where I think they will finish in the playoffs, not where I think their talent actually is. They're clearly talented enough to win a championship. I've said that before. But where I'm at is that like I think the most likely thing, and we could talk about Denver specifically or just within the context of these other teams, is that they're clearly like loading up to be the fifth or sixth best team in the NBA, depending on where you have the Knicks, where you have the Lakers, where you have the Nuggets, where you have the Grizzlies. 5th, 6th, 7th in that general range. Only 4 teams make it to the Western Conference or to the conference finals. Like, so if you're not in that group, then I think you're vulnerable. And I think there's a vast, like reasonable possibility that you're going to be out in the second round. So that's where I'm at with it. Like, I think it's fair to have very strong concerns about their top level in the playoffs if you can't say that they're top 4.
I think they're better than the Knicks.
Barely.
Okay. I think they're better than where you're at right now. And
where
I
does
think
Minnesota factor into this? And Dallas.
Well, let's do the next tier. God, so this is what I think gets really tough too. So we got 1, 2, 3. This is 4th tier. Wolves, Warriors, Mavericks, full strength.
Yeah.
And then the next tier down is Rockets Clippers for me. I'm out on the Clippers. Their offense isn't good enough.
Yeah, I don't think that they have any dynamic creation there.
Maybe they'll be tricky. But I think Warriors have the ability to. We maybe talk about the Warriors as a tier 3 team in 2 weeks. I don't love their roster construction. I don't love their play style. I don't love anything. But like this is working right now. We'll see what happens. The thing I would stress though here is like how we feel right now is just not how we're going to be in a month, and it's not how we're going to be when we get to the playoffs. Stuff shifts too much.
Probably.
Like a month ago, we would have been like, well, I think you got to put Houston in that top 2 tier, regardless of how good they, of their star power or whatever else. And now it's like, yeah, Houston's okay.
But that's why we have these conversations, is because these things do evolve. Our opinions will change based off of who's playing well, who's not playing well, and just the new information that we're getting. And until the Nuggets can string together good performances against good teams, I'm still going to be pretty pessimistic on them overall. And that's okay. Like, I hope that they prove me wrong.
Andre says, didn't the Lakers just lose to Charlotte, Matt? Second tier? That's the thing, though, is I don't really care if you lose a one-off to these bad teams. I just don't. I'm not like, you need to not consistently lose to teams under 500, and the Lakers this season are 19-9 versus teams below 500. This is the thing, is like, you can pick this out for any team in the league. You can do it what about the Thunder? Okay, they lost to the Wolves before the All-Star break. They're vulnerable. They lost twice to the Mavericks. The Mavericks, who, like, yeah, without Luka, mind you, in one of them. You could do that. You got to take the whole resume, I think. Yeah. On the other side, we'll take a look at what the road trip looks like for Denver and how they're going to navigate this, starting with a game versus the Pacers. We'll do that next here on Locked On Nuggets. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. You got to love using the live betting feature. You can do stuff like you can bet on an under on a star player's points if he's off to a hot start, or if a guy's – sometimes you'll notice these star players, they'll score in bunches. So if they're having a slow night, you can bet the over as well as them to win the game and get a better payout. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us here on a Monday. This is no jinx, because we would never, ever, ever jinx anyone. All right. So the Nuggets are taking off on a road trip this week. They are leaving the comfy confines of Ball Arena, taking off and seeing a little bit of an East Coast swing here, starting with the Indiana Pacers. Ryan, what's kind of your anticipation for this road trip for Denver?
Just repeat the phrasing there again. Sorry, just missed it.
No problem. What's your expectation for this road trip? They play at the Pacers, at the Bucks, at the Pistons, who are really good now on a back-to-back, by the way, and then the March 2nd matchup with the Boston Celtics before returning home to face the Kings.
Yeah, so keep in mind, folks, Pacers 4th in the East.
Good.
Bucks 5th in the East. Pistons 6th in the East. Celtics 2nd in the East. Like, top 6 teams in the conference. Like, these are games that matter, and these are games that matter to me. They don't matter as much as Western Conference games. Don't get me wrong, but like they do matter. And like Denver has an opportunity here to stretch together some good basketball and then really try to play well against teams that are going to challenge them and challenge them in ways that the Lakers did. Maybe not to the degree that the Lakers just did, but I'm not going to lie, man. I think that this is kind of a big one to kind of shrug off what was a pretty ugly loss to the Lakers. I think that there's an opportunity for Denver here to set the tone against a Pacers team that, yes, they are good, but they are also vulnerable, especially against bigs in the middle of the floor. They force a lot of turnovers. They are pretty good with their ball pressure, especially when they've got guys healthy. Aaron Nesmith is back. I'm looking to see how Jamal Murray handles that. Looking to see whether Michael Porter can get involved again. He has really struggled. I want to see him get back on track when everybody is healthy, when everybody's playing, because one of the things that we've noticed is that Mike steps up when most guys are out. Not most guys, but like when there are some absences and some gaps that need to be filled, he does a good job of filling those gaps. I want to see him do that when they're at full strength. We'll see whether he gets the opportunity, but I think Denver has to go like 2-2 or better in this stretch. If they lose and have a losing road trip, that is a problem.
Sorry, if they don't, what?
Look, yeah, I mean, here, this is the thing. Is like, what's actually the problem, Ryan? What's actually the issue? And I know I sound fatalistic when I talk in that manner, but I really do think that like Denver has to start taking themselves seriously.
Yeah, you're in a. I think you're still operating on the 2023 timeline.
Well, no, it's not just that. Aaron said it in the post game. Like I asked him, like, "Hey, are you how much do you want to battle like rest versus getting like really amped up and ready for the playoffs?" And he says, "We need to get ready now. Like we need to get ready. We're not going to worry about rest until like for a while. It is go time."
I don't know what else he's going to say. That's also not his prerogative. His job is to play as hard as possible in every single game, and it's the rest of the staff's job to curtail that. If they go 1-3 or 0-4 here, the world's not ending.
Of course not. Like, look,
and I keep coming back to this, which is in 2023, you wanted them, you made a big deal out of them building championship habits, and they did it. And then last year, you felt like they were slipping and that they weren't doing those type of things, and then they lost. So for you, it's like, this is what you got to do. And I've been very big on this the entire year of no, that's not how it's going to be for this team. This team has to basically MacGyver it. This team, like, you are not building the perfect vehicle. You are trying to get a jalopy to fly. And it's like, yeah, but that's probably not going to happen. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's still like you're going to get airborne. We'll see how far you go, but you're going to get airborne and you're going to have a chance. Like, this is kind of my whole thing is like, there's an opportunity here. I've done really well on predicting these when we've done these segments. I think I'm like 3-0 on nailing them this season.
I'm probably worse.
Yes, you are. And so I'm going to predict they're going to go 2-2. I think they actually lose the Indiana game. They beat the Pacers and the Pistons even on the back-to-back, and then they lose to the Celtics.
You said lose the Indiana game, beat the Pacers. You mean the Bucks?
The Bucks, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Pacers to me strike them as a team that is going to pace them all the way out, and Tyrese is going to carve them up. That would be my. It's
mostly just like the Pacers actually are not a 3-point shooting team. They're a massive points in the paint team. They just create all sorts of layups.
But that's the thing. Like Denver can't stop that.
Denver can't stop it. Guess what? The Pacers can't do. They are bottom 10 in points in the paint allowed. This is going to be a high scoring affair with both of them shooting a lot of twos. So I think Joker probably has a massive game tomorrow.
That is a great bet. Like, this is 40-20-10 territory that we're talking about here. I really do think that he'll take it pretty seriously. I think that they can load up on the Bucks. They can load up on Giannis specifically. Giannis is he still under that minutes restriction that he's been dealing with? Like,
I'm not sure. I think it's getting lifted.
Okay, because it was very stark how few minutes he was playing lately and how little impact ultimately he did have in at least the latest matchup that I watched.
I want to comment on this. Non-NBA channel says if you lose the Bucks and Celtics, it's another poor performance against top teams. I'll tell you this. It's already like, this is kind of where Ryan and I do disagree. It's already sailed. It's already like, we're already sailed. They're not good versus the other good teams in the regular season. If they run through March, does that change? Like, hey, yeah, they were a different team in March. But I'm also just kind of like, nope, the MO of this team is that they are not that.
Yeah. I think it's fair. Like, look, that's who they probably are. I mentioned this before, 7-13 against the teams that are top 10 in point differential. Boston's on that list, but none of the other teams are. So they have an opportunity here to like the only team that actually counts in that is Boston for the perspective of this. I think that Denver Like they've got an opportunity to get better at this. Like they can, like if they go 3-1, would I be surprised? No. If they go 4-0, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I think they actually have the talent to do it.
And then everyone will talk about how much of a contender they are and how they've shown it. And I'll be like, well, let's slow down a little bit because that's my job in this universe.
That's contrarian Matthew over here.
Contrarian. I'm just trying for accuracy. Thanks for joining us on Locked On Nuggets. Appreciate you guys being with us. Support Ryan's work at Mile High Sports. You can check out my stuff over at the Denver Dig, the Action Network, and Hardwood Paroxysm. We'll see you guys again next time. Thanks for joining us here on Locked On Nuggets.